Hey designers, and welcome back to Transformation Tuesday. This is the day of the week when we get on the scale, so you're going to want to stick around. Hello, 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 and welcome back, you guys. A huge welcome to those of you that may be new here. I am Deena, and you have landed at DeeVine DeeZine. And on this channel, we do all sorts of fun and crazy things. So hopefully you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and joining the family and staying around a while so that we can learn and grow together. Now, let's get on into today's video. It's Tuesday, you guys, the day of the week when we get on the scale to see how we're doing, to see if any of those fat cells are leaving the body, and to see if we're getting lighter and thinner. Yeah, that's the day around here. That's the day around here. But before we get into all of that, I want to remind you guys that it's not just about the weight. Now, I know that I say that quite often. Matter of fact, I think I say it pretty much every week, but it really is true. This transformational journey is about so much more than that. We are on a health journey because you know what? There are a lot of skinny people walking around that still are not healthy. So our goal on this journey is to get in optimal health. Yeah, there you go. That's the simplest thing right there, is to be at the best we can be for our bodies from the inside out. And naturally, that's going to mean we're going to drop some pounds, we're going to shed some of that unwanted weight, and we are going to get smaller in the process. But when we're on this transformational journey, moving the weight isn't the main objective, and it's not always plausible. Yeah, and we've talked about that a little bit because ladies especially, we have hormones, and those hormones play tricks on us and do all kinds of crazy things, especially during certain times of the month. So we can have a weight maintaining, or we can have even a slight weight gain that's not really true as far as the fat is concerned. You guys know already we've talked about water retention, and that doesn't just have to do with our hormones, but it also has to do with things like sodium intake. Sugar intake can cause us to hold on to some water, and sometimes our bodies just get flat stubborn when we haven't had enough water to drink. It will hold on to water. So dehydration is also a huge culprit behind maintaining water retention. So there's all kinds of things that can cause that scale to fluctuate up and down, and although we all get excited when the scale moves, it's not always 100% possible no matter how many calories you are restricting. So keep that in mind, okay? Because I know that every week we get on the scale and I'm wanting to show you if I've lost any weight, and it's kind of like that has become the focus for a lot of us, and I don't want that to be the main focus. I really want us to stay focused on the healthful side of this journey. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you there, because I don't want us focused on the wrong things. It's so easy when we're dieting to get our focus in the wrong way. And I really don't even want to call this a diet. This is a lifestyle change. This is how we are going to live for the rest of our lives. And that is how come you will notice that I am not super strict as far as never eating sugar, never having a dessert, never having those fun little treats that I want to have, because I know that realistically never having that stuff again, that's not even possible. And that's really probably not extremely healthy either. We want to be able to enjoy some of the nice, fun little treats of life without going overboard and being out of control like maybe we've been in the past. So that's the goal here with this transformational journey. And I just felt like maybe I needed to recenter our focus. We're on week 21. Yeah, that's a good long time. We're on week 21. And by this point, we should be developing some really good health habits, being able to choose the right amount of foods. Now, I know a lot of you are still counting your calories because remember, less in than we're burning. That is the key to weight loss. I don't care who tells you otherwise. I know there's this big thing right now that if you're like on the keto diet or intermittent fasting, you don't necessarily have to be as worried about calories. And I know that our bodies can still shift and move things around depending on what kind of fuel that it's burning, but the bottom line at the end of the day is you have to be burning more than you're consuming. Because if you're only burning what you're consuming, then your body cannot get into stored fat stores to use as fuel. And so you're not going to be losing the weight. You will maintain at best. So counting calories is really important. And I know it's cumbersome because you have to get out the measuring spoons and the measuring cups, and it slows the process down, especially if you have family sitting around the table waiting on you to sit down so that you can eat together, and they're waiting sometimes impatiently for you to measure all of that food, and that can be a struggle. But hopefully by now, 21 weeks in, that you've learned about what 1 cup of pasta might look like, or a half a cup of sauce. Maybe by now that you already know what a 1/4 cup of your almonds gonna look like, or an ounce of cheese. You should be kind of familiar with about what the food looks like if you've been pretty consistent about measuring and weighing up until now. Hopefully, you're going to get a pretty good idea of that so that you don't have to worry about carrying that food scale everywhere you go, or all your measuring cups and measuring spoons, right? And for those of you just starting the journey, don't get frustrated with that, because eventually your eyes are going to be able to detect what about a serving looks like, what's healthy for you, and you're going to be able to eyeball it and know about what you're eating. So you're not going to have to measure forever. Don't worry about that part of it. But you do have to do it to begin with. Let's just be honest, because we want to restrict that caloric intake. So hopefully you guys have been doing that. Now, here's the deal for me this past week. I did pretty good. You guys are watching the food diaries over on DeeVine Health. Now, you'll notice for the last several days, the food diaries have been missing. That's because we've been extremely busy. If you watched the vlog yesterday, then you know we were out of town for part of the weekend. We were on the go, getting in really late, and having so much to do and different videos to edit. I didn't worry about those food diaries. I have the video on my phone, and hopefully I'll be able to put like a little montage together and just show you guys maybe one lump video of different things that I had over the weekend. But here's the deal. When we were out of town, we went to Carlo's Bakery. I know you saw that on the vlog, and yes, I did eat. Take a look. I had that huge chocolate chip cookie with all of those M&Ms, and I can almost guarantee you that thing probably had, that thing had to have had at least 1,500 calories or more right by itself, because one standard, just regular size chocolate chip cookie has about 400. Yes, can you believe it? Like, that's how much we usually overeat, you guys. You figure if you sit down and have 2 chocolate chip cookies for dessert, that's about 800 calories just right there. So that kind of puts in perspective how much we have been overeating and maybe didn't even realize it. So I did have that huge cookie. The rest of my meal while we were out and while we were gone that day was pretty healthy. We went to Wendy's, and I did have the salad, and I did have some chili, and we had lunch at the mall, and I did have a Philly steak and cheese sandwich. I only had half of the bread, took the rest of the bread off, and just ate the meat and lettuce and tomatoes. So I did make really good choices till we got to that chocolate chip cookie. Yes, and then yesterday, baby girl cooked for me some little cheesecake chocolate chip bars, because I'm going to tell you why. I was having a little bit of a sweet tooth, not really craving sugar because we talked about that last week, but just wanting a little treat because I'm trying to just jumpstart my body again. I've been at this plateau for a while now where the weight has not been coming off. I can feel my body is changing. This shirt that I have on today is a shirt that I had not been able to wear, and so I know that things are moving and shifting around. Been working out, and I have been toning up my muscles, and that causes things to change, but the scale wasn't budging. You guys know that. So I'm going to start a little new thing this upcoming week where I'm going to add some keto type meals for at least a week, maybe even 2 weeks, just to kind of kickstart things again and get the weight dropping. Sometimes we have to do new things for our body. So I asked her, I said, can you make some kind of little treat that I can have as like one little last treat before I really go strict into this keto type diet for a little while? And she said, sure. So I did have 2 of those last night. They were delicious. So delicious. But you guys, it has caused me this morning to be very puffy. I don't know if you guys can tell it in my face, but I sure can. And look at this. Like, can you see the struggle? Just getting my ring off. Oh my goodness. Sugar will make you bloat up like a frog. Sometimes I think even worse than sodium intake. Yeah, it can just make you like swell and just bloat because it's just not good for that system of yours. So because of that, I am not stepping on the scale today, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I know myself. And I know that if I get on that scale and either have a weight gain from water retention, or even if I had lost, but now I'm showing even because of water retention, I'm going to get very depressed, and I'm going to want to turn back to that refrigerator for another chocolate chip cheesecake bar, because that's just what happens to me. If I feel like I have done really good and the scale's not moving, one of the first thoughts that pops in my head is turning to food to ease the pain, the emotional pain of not losing. Does that make sense? And for those of you that have dieted a while, I know that's going to make sense. So I am choosing today, especially because we're not as focused on the weight as we are on the health side of this journey. I don't want to trigger myself and cause myself to do something today that I don't want to do by eating a food that I don't want to eat. And I know you guys can feel me. Come on, we've all struggled with this together. Some of us have struggled with this for years together. And I know myself. I don't want to be in that position today. So I am happy because I know I made great choices even though we were out of town. We did a lot of walking, a lot of exercising, been working out all week. And I know that I have made great decisions for my body. And I'm not going to let this puffiness, this swelling, this water retention cause me to feel like, oh my gosh, I've done terrible and now I'm gaining weight, because I know what it is. But I also know myself and know when the scale doesn't move, I get highly discouraged. So this week I'm opting not to weigh in for that reason. And hopefully you all can understand that. That is just, now my waist is hanging in there the same. So I know I haven't like swollen up as far as like gained or put back on any inches. My waist is hanging in there the same. So I know that if the scale isn't budging for me, but I also know what it does up here. This is part of the process, is learning ourselves, learning how we think, learning how we respond to emotional situations, learning how we respond to stress, because those are the triggers that have always caused us to make the poor choices in the past, right? So when we learn those things about ourselves, we have to put into practice the solution for those type of problems. And for me, that solution is not focusing on the scale, not making that my center of attention, and not causing myself some undue emotional stress today. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that helps you out. Give yourself permission to not get on the scale so often. The more we focus on that scale anyway, I think the more that our focus can shift to the wrong way. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on this whole thing today. Right or wrong, that's my thoughts. This is my journey, and that's how I'm going to handle it. But I am going to throw up that video for you over there, and today the food diaries are starting back over. Because, like I said, I want to add in some of those ketogenic friendly meals, high fat, low carb, and moderate protein. I'm going to try that for a week or two and see if we kind of can't kickstart this whole fuel burning thing again and see what happens with all of that. So the food diaries are definitely going to start back over today. Make sure you subscribe over to DeeVine Health, because that's where I'm showing you every day exactly what I'm eating, how many calories I'm consuming, and all that fun stuff. And I will put together a little montage video to show you what I had over the weekend, because believe it or not, it really is possible to make healthier decisions when you're on the road and when you're on the go. You don't have to use that as an excuse to eat poorly, unless you're at Carlos Bakery and want a cookie. Because come on, let's face it, how often do we get down there, right? Anyway, there you go. That's my update for this week. Hope you're not extremely disappointed because I didn't get on that scale, but hopefully this has been a little motivation for you, for us to stay focused in the right ways and to make sure that we're staying focused on the right things. And that is becoming healthier all the way around, from the inside out, and even mentally and emotionally, especially with that connection with food. So there you have it. Tell me down below, how did you guys do this week? Has this helped you? Was anything that I said today helpful to you as far as helping you reset your way of thinking? Let me know. Let me know down below how these are helping you and how this journey may be boosting you towards a new, healthier journey for yourself. I really do want to hear it because it's encouraging to me to see you guys making a difference. Don't forget, we do have that Facebook group, so if you're really serious about losing weight, make sure you send the invitation. I'll have that link for you down below. There are 3 questions that will pop up whenever you get ready to join that group. Make sure you answer them, because if you don't answer the questions, we don't accept that request. So there you have it. I want to thank you so much for sitting here and joining me today, and I want to remind you, you were created for purpose, so go be all you can be. I'll see you soon in the next video.